So you're thinking about moving to Dayton, Ohio, and you've heard great things about Centerville. Well, for a good reason. Centerville is a fantastic place to live. Great schools, great housing, shopping, dining, you name it. Centerville has it all. But Centerville also has some downsides, and I wish I would have known about some of those downsides prior to moving to Centerville for the first time. And we're going to discuss some of those things in this video, so stay tuned because we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Centerville, Ohio, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Tap the little bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the market here in Centerville. My name is Mike Wall. I am the team leader of the Love Ohio Living team. We are the #1 real estate resource on YouTube here in Dayton, Ohio. We get calls, emails, and texts from people just like you every single day looking to make the move to Dayton and the surrounding suburbs. We absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to make a move in the next 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even schedule a Zoom call in the description below. We'd be happy to help you make the smooth move to Centerville. All right, here we go. Here are the pros and cons of living in Centerville, Ohio, and I am so happy and excited to be able to bring this video to you. My wife and I and my 2 sons have actually lived in Centerville. We know a lot about the community. One of my offices in Centerville, and so this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interactive. I've created an entire document that I will put in the description for you all to download if you want. We're going to walk through some different websites here, and I'm going to show you why Centerville could or perhaps could not be a good place for you and or your family to live. So let's dive right in. The first one here, and I'm going to share my screen with you, is the really obvious one, guys, and it's the weather, right? The weather in Ohio, especially in the winter times, is it's very dull, it's very gray, it's cloudy, it's cold, it's a little bit depressing, but for me, it's a really good time to refocus on what my goals are, put my head down and really bury it into my work and into my family. And so I love it here because it makes me appreciate the spring, summer, and fall that much more. But just to give you some statistics on the weather here in Centerville is we get about 41 inches of rain on average per year. And that's a little over the U.S. average of 38. Centerville averages about 19 inches of snow per year, which is kind of cool, especially, you know, that first or second or even third snow. But I can tell you after a little while, it gets a little old. The average in the U.S. is 28, so it's a little under the U.S. average. So we'll take that. On average, there are about 180 days per year of sunshine in the Centerville area, which is not great, especially when you're moving from someplace in Florida or even perhaps Denver or out on the West Coast or Arizona where you get a lot of sunshine. So that might be a little bit of an adjustment for you. The summer high around 85 degrees, which, you know, again, if you're coming from, you know, down south or perhaps somewhere out west where it's much hotter, that is more tolerable for sure. But I can tell you the humidity, it can be a little bit ridiculous here at times. It gets very, very warm when you factor in the humidity. Our winter low, January, 22 degrees. It is January right now, and it is probably 45 degrees. Yesterday was almost 60 degrees, and tomorrow is going to be almost 60 degrees. So go figure that one out.
That's kind of hot.
The rain, as I mentioned before, it gets a little old after a while. I don't know if this is perhaps global warming, but it has been a lot rainier than normal. We used to get a lot of snow. We really did when I first lived here, and I've been here for 21 years. When I first moved here, and we moved to Columbus to go to Ohio State, the snow was very frequent, and we got, you know, really nice big snowstorms. And coming from Texas, I can tell you that was a bit overwhelming, but very, very cool, especially to learn to navigate the snow, you know, walking and driving. But as time has gone on, for whatever reason, especially over the last 5 years, there's just a lot more rain, and it's one of those things that's kind of depressing. I would much rather it snow outside than rain. And I may be crazy for saying that, but we get enough rain in the spring for an entire year for me. So hopefully that will give you some sort of a context as to what to expect from the weather here in Ohio. The next thing I want to talk about is the average price in Centerville, comparatively speaking, when you factor in Dayton, which I believe the Dayton average sale price is it's about $112,000. So it's just under $112,000, which if you think about, nationwide, where I think the average sale price is about $350,000, that's extremely low. And that's why we have a lot of investors flooding into the Dayton area to buy property, because they can hit really good cap rates here. But when you compare Centerville's average price at $309,000 to Dayton's, that's extremely high. And it is one of the higher sale price averages in the entire Dayton area. And just to give you some context as to what that might buy, as I pulled up a home here that sold within the last 90 days, and there's a house here on 490 Village Square. This is really a good idea of what you can expect to buy for that $309,000. And you can see some statistics here, and I'll walk you through this listing at 490 Village Square Drive that one of my friends sold, and it listed at $304,900, and it sold for, over list price at $306,901. It's a 4-bedroom. It's 2.5 baths, 1,891 square feet, which puts it right around $162 a square foot. The lot size is ½ acre, so it's a generous size lot, especially for this area, with lots of updates. And I believe this home also had a finished basement. Yes, a 2-story with a finished basement. But let me walk you through some of the photos here, just to give you an idea of exactly what you can expect for your $309,000 budget. Very cute home. It's brick and vinyl. Updated flooring, completely painted on the inside. It looks like maybe some newer windows with updated light fixtures, kitchen backsplash, quartz countertops, new cabinetry, newer appliances. Again, some additional very decorative lighting here. Just a very cute house. This is turnkey. I mean, move right in. So, for $309,000, this seems like a very good value, especially for most folks who are coming from either the East or West Coast, where the average sale prices could be $500,000 or $600,000, or the DC area, where we get a lot of people in from that that specific area coming to move here to work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But I mean, again, very cute house, good bedroom sizes, office space, big primary bedroom with ensuite. Huge walk-in closet. There's your finished basement. This is not a home with a media room or a billiard area, but you could easily do something like that in a basement like this. It's very generic, very simple, but again, it's additional space, especially if you have kids. This could be a great play area for kids to throw toys and just let them run around and destroy the area. But this gives you a really good idea of what your average sale price at $309,000 buys you in the Centerville, Washington Township market. So moving right along, the next point of discussion would be, the taxes. And unfortunately, the taxes here in Ohio are not low. They are on average, comparatively speaking, to the U.S. average of 5.09%. It is 5.75% here in Ohio. That is your sales tax rate and your property tax average. Where in the U.S. it's about 1.1%. In Centerville, it's 2.21, so more than double of the appraised value. And you can see your average appraisal value in Centerville, Ohio, $154,220. And in the township, it's $175,790. And your tax rate, actually, your property tax rate, goes up to 2.44%. Now, there's a reason why that happens. I'm going to discuss that at the end of the video. I'll tell you definitely want to hang around for that because it will save you some money actually when I go into explaining that for you. But just to give you some context here, and by the way, that 154,220, that is your tax appraised value. That's why that doesn't match that 309,120, because when they do a tax appraisal, typically it can be, somewhere between, 2/3 of the value and maybe just a little bit higher. And that's what you want. You don't want to pay taxes on the actual sale price, but they do an appraised value at the auditor's office, and then your tax value is based on that. It's 2.21% of that in Centerville and 2.44% of that in Washington Township. So just to give you an example of what your taxes might look like here in the Centerville area, on $154,220, your tax appraised price times 0.0221 is about just over $3,400 every year, and semi-annually, which is the way taxes are paid here in Ohio, every 6 months, it's $1,704. And again, I'll provide you some information, but there's a great website that runs all this down, and you can see here, both for Washington Township, where I extracted this data, and then for Centerville here, which again, I'll provide links for this in the document in the description. So if you guys want to go back and check this stuff out on your own, feel free to do that. That's why I do it. The next point of discussion will be the housing inventory here. I don't want to say there's limited new construction. I think that might be a little far-fetched. While they are building out in Washington Township, they are really not building much in Centerville proper. But most of the available homes here are much older. And I believe there was a great, there was a great statistic here. Most of the housing, I think the average house here was built in like 1976. From what I gather, but you can see the housing units. There are 11,556 available units, and and here's the median year built, 1976. This is really, really good information here. But as you can see, the bulk of the inventory was built between like 1940 and 1980. And so what you run into is a lot of the housing that was built in that time period is not it can be choppy. It's not as open in some cases. Now, granted, there is the occasional, property that's been updated, that's been, cleaned up, completed with, your quartz countertop. In fact, it was just like the example I showed you here. Let's see what year this was built. This was built in 75. So this is perfect. Again, it's a 2-story brick and vinyl home, but the difference here is the fact that somebody has gone in and completely updated this house. Now, you're probably going to get 8-foot ceilings and things of that nature, but this floor plan seems fairly open, comparatively speaking, when you look at some of the other houses available from that time frame. So, when you're looking for a home in the Centerville area, you may have to get used to finding something in that 1950 to 1980 range, unless you're willing to spend a little bit more money and go, out into the Washington Township area. But some of those homes can get pricey very quickly. Some of those homes, I would say, are well. In fact, in my estimation, they're priced anywhere between like $600,000 and $1 million if you're going out into Washington Township and you're buying something new. So that just to kind of wrap up there, the weather. The weather is what it is. We're in Ohio. It's just something you get used to. The average sale price, again, in Centerville, comparatively speaking, being a little bit higher than that of Dayton. But on average in the U.S., not very bad, $348,000 to $309,000. The taxes are higher here. Again, it's just one of those things. You live in Ohio, it's death and taxes. Those are two things that are constant in Ohio. And I don't mean to dampen anybody's parade, but that's the reality of living here. And so it's just something, it's a pill you have to swallow. And then the majority of homes being older, with the average median year built being 1976. So it doesn't mean you can't find a beautiful home here. It's just, it's probably going to be a little it's probably going to be on the little dated side when you buy something in our area here, unless somebody's gone in and updated it. So let's jump into the good part. Everybody loves to hear about the pros, right? And this is the part that's easier for me and more exciting for me to talk about as well. The first thing I'll bring up here in the Centerville area, and I'm going to reference data here as to not get myself in trouble, because what I don't want to do is to steer you into a specific area. So I'm just going to go over some of the statistics of the websites that I really like in our area and talk to you about, some of the things that are driving some of my talking points here. But I like to use Neighborhood Scout when I'm looking at crime data, and I'll always reference Neighborhood Scout or send potential clients to Neighborhood Scout when they're asking me about a potential area and whether it's safe or not. And I'll let them do the research because they're not bound by licensing laws. But I can definitely walk through this with you and talk to you about the area here in Centerville. And I think you'll find this very interesting. So what I like about Neighborhood Scout is they actually give you what's called a crime index. And in Centerville, it's safer than 47% of the cities here in the United States. And it actually goes into the annual crimes, both violent and property crimes. And that's how they segment crimes. The number of violent crimes are 15 annually. So the average is a little over 1 a month, and then 244 property crimes with a total of 259. And so the crime rate, this is great, is as a statistic, per 1,000 residents is 0.61, and property crime, 9.87, with a total of 10.47. So great little visual here talking about violent crimes, comparatively speaking. Now this is the state of Ohio versus Centerville, where you can see Centerville 0.61, and then the average for the state of Ohio is 3.36, so extremely low, not even a third. And your chances here, this is great, and I'm smiling about your chances of becoming the victim of a violent crime. So your chances of becoming a victim of a violent crime are 1 in 1,649 in Centerville and 1 in 297 in Ohio altogether. Your Centerville violent crimes, there were no murders, thank God. 2 rapes, 4 robberies, and 9 assaults. And so that's a rate per 1,000 residents of 0.00, 0.08 for rape, 0.16 for robbery, and 0.36 for assault. And again, this is I'm not gonna read all of this, but this is all the statistical violent crime data for the United States. And so I'll provide a link for this in the document, and you guys can go back and look at some of this. But I just thought it was very interesting when you go through some of these statistics to really figure out where it is that you want to live, so that you feel safe when you come home, and you live your day-to-day life without the nuisance of a violent crime or even a property-related crime. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the proximity. So Centerville is just a great place. It's about, and I put this in the header of the document and I forgot to discuss it, but I'll discuss it now. So it's about 20 minutes south of downtown Dayton with a population of just under 25,000 people. So it's not the biggest suburb. I believe Kettering is the biggest suburb, and then Beaver Creek, and then Centerville. So it is fairly large with 25,000 or just under 25,000 people. But what's really cool about this area too is its proximity to shopping, dining, and major employers. There's Austin Landing over in Miami Township, which is probably 10 to 12 minutes away. So there's Chewy's, which is a very nice Tex-Mex restaurant, Firebirds, which is kind of a mid-scale steak restaurant, BJ's Brew House, which is a brewery, Home Goods, TJ Maxx, where my wife spends a lot of money, and then there's also a Kroger and a Kohl's over in that area. All that stuff's about 10 to 12 minutes away. There's also the Dayton Mall, if anybody still goes to a mall. There's a mall that's probably, 5 to 7 minutes away from Centerville as well. So easy to get to for, shopping, dining. And then obviously, if you've watched any of my my vlog tour videos, we have in Centerville, it's the only Whole Foods in all of Dayton. And as you all know, I love that place. One of my favorite things to do during the day while I'm out filming on location is to stop by Whole Foods and get an oat milk latte. What a lot of people don't know is that Whole Foods has some of the best coffee that you can buy. And trust me, I live off coffee. So I've had the good fortune of experiencing a lot of coffee around the Dayton area, and Whole Foods is absolutely one of my favorites. So if you go to Whole Foods, You have to get the oat milk latte. Tell them Mike Wall sent you. The next one, Centerville has a really cool downtown area, and I'm going to show you a map here. So this is the downtown area in Centerville, and it runs north to south. And what's really cool is this downtown area has a lot of restaurants. There's some really cool boutique shops down there, but a place I love to go down there and eat is City Barbecue. It's probably some of the best barbecue in the entire state of Ohio. And then once I'm done there, I'm headed straight over to Grader's to get some ice cream. You guys will love this area down here. It's very easily accessible. And this is about 5 minutes away also from Whole Foods. So great downtown area. If you want to go down and hang out, take the kids for ice cream or eat some fantastic barbecue, you want to check out downtown Centerville. Another thing as it relates to the proximity, we always think about some of our largest employers. And our largest employer, bar none, is the Air Force Base. And you can see Centerville on the map right here, outlined in this dotted line. And then I drew a line up 675 to the Air Force Base, a line up 48 to downtown, and then also a line taking 675 to 75 north, getting into the downtown Dayton area, where in this area here is the University of Dayton, and then all of the major employers in the downtown Dayton area. So this drive is anywhere from, let's just say, I don't know, 15 to 17 minutes to get into the downtown Dayton area, depending on where you are here. And then, about 20 minutes out to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And the good news about both of these, both downtown and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, is these routes that I've drawn here are very quick. In other words, there's not a lot of traffic ever really in Dayton unless something terrible has happened. These two, 675 and 75, are major thoroughfares. So those are highways, and this is more of kind of like a 2-lane road for the most part, but it's a straight shot into downtown from Centerville as well. So want to definitely keep that in mind if you work in either one of those places. The next thing we'll discuss is the school system, right? Everybody loves Centerville schools, especially niche.com. Niche.com, again, a great resource for not just Centerville schools, but for any school in and around the Dayton area. Centerville schools are actually rated the #2 best schools in the entire area. And, they get an A+ overall. They get an A for academics, an A+ for teachers, an A for clubs and activities, B for diversity, A+ for college prep, and an A for administration. So overall, Centerville schools are fantastic. And that's something that, if you're moving to an area and schools are important to you, you definitely want to check out the Centerville school system, because they are very, very highly rated, and they work really hard to obtain that rating. The next thing I'll talk to you about is the park system here. And I would say of any of the suburbs here in the Dayton area, that the Centerville Washington Park system is probably the best. The thing you'll have problems with the Centerville Park system is choosing which one to go to. There are 51 parks and green spaces with walking trails, splash pads, amphitheaters with outdoor concerts, fishing ponds, playgrounds, picnic pavilions for hosting family gatherings. And it is really, really a special thing when you can go out to some of the park systems here and just, take a pet, take a book, and walk the trails. Sometimes I'll cut off work early and take my fishing pole out to Stubbs Park and fish. And so there's a lot to do in the Centerville Washington Park District. And it certainly is fantastic also if you have kids and you get out into the Centerville Washington Park system. The last thing I'll talk to you about, and this is why I really wanted you to hang out until the end, so I'm going to give you a bonus to those of you who hung out with me here until the end, is that while in Centerville, there is a tax on your income, if you actually move out to Washington Township, there is no city income tax. And that is true for a lot of the townships here in Ohio. I don't know of one actually that actually charges an income tax. So the reason why that's important is if you look at Springboro city income tax, Centerville city income tax, and Oakwood city income tax, I mean, if you make $100,000, you're in Springboro, you're writing a check for $1,500 at the end of the year. In Centerville, you're writing a check for $2,250. In Oakwood, you're writing a check for $2,500. So depending on how much money you make, you could save potentially hundreds, if not thousands of dollars simply by choosing Washington Township over Centerville. So that wraps up our pros and cons video. I hope you found that valuable. Again, I do these videos for one reason, and that's to help educate those of you looking to move into the Dayton area. We understand and find that the people who are the most educated find the best homes, find the best deals, and always end up in the best financial situations. So I do appreciate you watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and comment below if you enjoyed. Thanks again for watching. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Centerville, Ohio, make sure hit that subscribe button, tap the little bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the market here in Springboro. My name is Mike Wall. I am the team leader of the Love Ohio Living team. We get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you looking to make the move to Centerville, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to make a move in the next 9 days or 90 days, doesn't matter. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd be happy to help you make a smooth move. Thanks again for watching.